Hearing none and seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item 3, and I'll call on Commissioner Aguilera to present Sandy Guerrero with an award for 25 years of service to Cumberland County. Sandy?
Sandy, come on up. I forgot the award.
Just that, you stand.
Yeah.
I get to scoot off the chair.
Yeah, there you go.
I do.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit interesting. All right. Sandy, there you are.
You're lucky.
We are lucky. Yeah, we're lucky to have had you working for us for 25 years. So we just want to acknowledge that a little bit. And I'll mention this. Normally we have the supervisor do this, but you are the supervisor. So, but Sandy may have something. So I just want to mention a couple of things here. 25 years of service, aging community services, of course. Hired December 28, 1994, aging care manager. Promoted in April 2008 to case manager supervisor. Promoted May 2016 to human services director. 2016? That long?
Yeah,
Wow.
you're telling me.
No, it feels like yesterday. So she's built quite a record of service here. We're very glad you're with us. We're going to be with us for quite a while, 25 years of service. A little token of appreciation from the board of commissioners.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything they want to add, since Sandy probably doesn't want to speak for herself? You're welcome to. Anything you want to say?
Well, there's not a lot to say. 25 years, it goes by so fast. But I will say I probably won't make another 25. I just, but I can work towards it. You know,
Okay.
quarter of a century. But it's really, I'm very happy to be here. I will say that it's because of the people that I work with that makes this such a great place to work. I've worked with many departments, many different levels, and a little biased, but the best, of course, is aging and community services. The staff there are tremendous. So.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Thank
It's been a
you.
great 25 years.
Sandy, I guess.
Yes, I'd just like to say it's always wonderful when we have the opportunity to recognize the accomplishments of our staff here in Cumberland County. So today I'm extremely happy to be celebrating Sandy's 25 years of service with the county. During different stages in Sandy's career, she's been supporting older adults with disabilities, and other residents who are at risk of losing their independence. In working with Sandy, I have found that she is very caring and advocates for our seniors. As a leader, Sandy has the management skills to keep her staff motivated and doing the best possible work for our seniors in Cumberland County. So Sandy, thank you for your service, and I hope to work with you for many, many more years.
I keep forgetting her. Picture, yeah.
All right, I'm going to take Cal pictures.
All right.
Congratulations, Sandy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your kind words.
Everybody has a supervisor. That's usually
Okay.
Have fun.
We'll move on to agenda item 4, and I will call on Solicitor Brennan to discuss agenda items 4 and 5, consisting of resolution 2023 and 2024.
Good morning, Commissioners. These are standard form resolutions that are required to be signed periodically. The first is required by PennDOT that authorizes the chairman to sign 10-let agreements, amendments, and supplements, and also be attested by the chief clerk. The second one is a standard resolution you do to allow people other than yourselves to sign vehicle titles, and including yourselves as well.
Any questions for Steve? Okay, next we'll move on to agenda item 6, and I'll call on Chris Rafferty, who will be discussing agenda items 6, and 7 for the Cumberland County Housing Redevelopment Authority to act as the administrator of the CDBG program as well as the administrator of the home program. Chris?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Chris Rafferty. I'm the Economic Director of the Redevelopment Authority. Every year, HUD allocates block grant funds and home funds to Cumberland County. Cumberland County qualifies an entitlement community to both programs. And over the years, the Cumberland County has delegated authority to administer the programs on behalf of Cumberland County. So we've been undertaking this process. We work with various nonprofit organizations, municipalities, developers, about these activities. Any questions?
Thank you, Chris. Next, I'll call on Stacy to discuss agenda item 8, the contract grant. Stacy?
Thanks, Sandy. Good morning, everyone. Agenda items 8, 1A through D are existing contracts, contract extensions, or addenda with no additional costs or increase to the county. They are as follows. We have a continuation and an addendum for CNRC. We also have 2 contracts for MHIDD. There is an MOU for public safety, as well as a continuation of a contract for the sheriff and the warrant collections unit. Commissioners, do you have any questions or concerns about any of these contracts?
Yes, I do, but I don't know if anybody's clear. This CERN, we were getting out of this, but is this that, it was a carryover or something as we were trying to migrate to another provider? But the incompatible systems,
For CNRC.
is this gonna go on for years or?
We can find that
That'll be fine, just
information
before
out.
Monday.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. That's all.
Next, we'll move on to agenda item 8.2, which consists of new contracts, vendors, services, grants, and contracts with increases or decreases to the county. I'll begin by calling on Ben to discuss the contracting addendum for CNRC. Ben?
Yeah, the first one I will be talking about is American Medical Technologies. The company provides wound care products. The one difference with them is they actually bill Medicare fee instead of the facility, which means there'll actually be no cost to the facility. Our wound care nurse here has worked with them in the past, and she only has good things to say about them. Any questions with that one? And then the next one we have is with Allied Medical Staffing. So the agencies, we have 9 agencies for nursing staff, and they all charge Claremont a late fee if we cancel 2 hours, less than 2 hours prior to the shift starting. So we put an addendum in that actually allows Claremont to charge Allied Medical Staffing if their employees cancel without 2 hours notice. So it would actually be a revenue generating contract. Questions with that?
Keith, I assume you've seen that.
I have.
Okay, thanks.
I think that'll be the first of many that was put in.
Any other questions for Ben, commissioners? Okay. Thank you, Ben.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Jonathan is joining us to discuss a grant for the district attorney's office, followed by a discussion of agenda item C. Jonathan?
The first item is the Insurance Fraud Prevention Authority grant. That's a renewal. That's a 2-year grant. We've been participating with that since 1997. It funds a detective, fully funds a detective and an analyst. Cumberland County is the home to the claims processing office of Erie, Highmark, and Progressive. So we get quite a few complaints in our office from those entities and other referrals from other counties. In that those claims come into those offices, it provides us jurisdiction even outside of the county. But that one's been pretty good to us over the years.
Any questions for Jonathan, commissioners?
The next item is a new grant opportunity. It's not a new grant, but it's new to us. from the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board. They have been giving out these grants since 2007. They set aside $2 million, and each county or each agency that applies has about, well, they cap out at $250,000. We're not asking for $250,000, but with the mini casino either coming or not coming, we're trying to get out in front of this a little bit. We've also seen these games of skill. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're slot machines that are being passed off as games of skill. In December, there were 2 bars within Cumberland County that had machines seized from those. There's some fights in the court as to whether or not those machines are viable. But in speaking with the Pennsylvania State Police, they handle what they can within liquor establishments, but they don't handle retail establishments, and these things have now migrated to retail establishments, and I'm aware of several in the county that are already out there. So if we were approved for this grant and we got it from the Gaming Commission, then we would look to bring on a detective, and we would look for them to be a leader in an educational component for illegal gambling within the county, enforcement, prevention, education not only to law enforcement but to these establishments that might bring these things in thinking that they are illegal, and we look to gain compliance there. I think if that mini casino drops in the county, my understanding, I know in Dauphin County benefits from the proceeds of the casino that come in. So if our residents here have other illegal gambling outlets, those dollars that could be taxed and come back into the county could be going elsewhere, and we wouldn't see our share of that. So that would be my pitch as well. It's a 1-year grant. It would start at the time of our choosing, and it would go 1 year. And then we would see how things fare the first year.
Any questions for Jonathan on the grant?
You say these machines are showing up in the games of skill, are showing up in retail. Do you mean bars or retail?
Kind of like there's an old Unimart locations, and they're taken over by, they're not the chains anymore.
Convenience store type?
Yes, convenience store type things. I know 2 locations thus far, and that's just through conversation. One of them, when I walked in, I thought it was a slot machine. It looked like little Vegas, and it was completely before I came across this. I was on another call, and I just popped in to get a drink, and I was looking at that. There is a YouTube video where Charlie Thompson from Penn Live, actually you can see him play the game, so if you need to kind of get a look at it, but basically it's the same slot that you would see, and then at the end, like, there might be a chance for you to win if you change one of the items, so that's the skill that's involved if you change that item. Delaware County is one of the, they're funded by this grant. Part of that grant funding goes towards a DA salary to cover the oversight of that, and that's what we're asking for here as well. But they would be a partner where we could kind of have them come in or us go down there to get some of this education as to what's going on. In my conversations with them is these things, they're brought in, and he estimated through whatever education he had, like for a $10,000 investment, these things could bring in $100,000 per machine for the payouts. So they are lucrative. And the state police has identified them not only in the bars, as I said, but they are really blasting the horn that these things are going out there. I guess in Philadelphia they have, like, it's not even a store anymore. They just have something open with all these machines in them.
Jonathan?
Yes.
I do have a question, but it's not related to that agenda item. Are you going to be driving district attorney's capital project request?
No, they
It's
don't.
on here? Okay, because I don't see Eric, and he's supposed to be here for that.
No, I didn't get a heads up on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Stacy, thank you. Any additional questions for Jonathan? Okay. Thank you, Jonathan. Next, Kirk is here to discuss an agreement for our finance liquid fuels, followed by agenda items 9 and 10. Kirk?
Commissioner's first one, item D there, UGI Utilities. This is a reimbursement agreement with UGI for utility relocation work as part of the Sample Bridge project. So this is a reimbursement agreement. We do the work for them. They reimburse us for the cost of that work. About $14,000, so it's not a big contract. Questions on that? Okay. When do we want to item 9 then, Stacy?
Yes.
Okay, item 9 then is our PIB loan, our Pennsylvania Infrastructure Bank loan. As you recall, we applied for our PIB loan for Sample Bridge. So we applied for $5 million back last fall. Take a little while. We do have the loan in hand now. As I'll report on another item here, we do have the Sample Bridge project we just recently let for bid, so we're ready to move forward with that. I have, the finance folks are here if there's any questions on the resolution and the ordinance and some of the specifics, but in terms of the intent of the loan is to fund the construction phase of the Sample Bridge project.
Questions on agenda 9?
Okay, and item number 10, actually bearing good news on both of these. We have Sample Bridge and Cocoa Bridge. You recall there are big construction projects that are out there. For Sample Bridge in Silver Spring Township, we received 6 bids. Ryland Construction was the low bidder at $3.227 million. So we recommend that the solicitor of the county engineering in conjunction with me be authorized to move forward with all the approvals and contract documents to keep that project moving forward. The other bid that we recently opened to was the Cocoa Bridge project in South Middleton Township. That had 12 bidders, so you'll see that a lot for a project. And the low bid on that was $1.739 million. So likewise with that project, we recommend that the commissioners approve those bids and authorize the solicitor, the county engineer, and the planning director to move forward with execution of all documents to move those projects forward. I will say on the Cocoa Bridge, just as a reminder, if you recall back in 2015, we passed the $5 registration fee through Act 89. So one of the things that PennDOT did is kind of a reward for the counties that did that. They provided $2 million of federal funds for projects that we could use as we see fit. So essentially, the bridge you're seeing here is being paid for with that $2 million. So I think that's a testament to PennDOT's looking at counties that are moving to having a $5 fee, saying thank you for doing that, thank you for taking care of your local infrastructure. In this case, we see the rewards of that with this bridge being paid for with this funds.
Are these bids what we pretty much anticipated?
Yeah, actually the bids were very good. So
Yeah.
when you look at Sample Bridge, the low bid was $3.2 million. We were estimating about $3.9.
Right.
And then Cocoa Bridge, we're looking at about $2 million. We had estimated we're at 1.739. So both of the bids were under engineers' estimates.
Which one had the bevy of bidders that we were?
Cocoa Bridge.
Any idea why? We had an outsized number.
It's an easy project. So sometimes you'll look at it, it's over the yellow bridges, it's not real long, it's kind of cut and dry, not a lot of right-of-way utility issues.
We aren't likely to see a repeat of that with other projects necessarily.
No, it's just a good environment right now. We have a lot of work. So you look, we have these 2 projects. We also have Wolf Bridge. And we also have Gores Bridge. So 4 major projects, about $13 million right now to be under construction this spring and summer. So a lot of work going on.
I guess because there are different style bridges, there would be no point in consolidating them under a single.
No, we looked at that. So we have another project that's actually ongoing where we did bundle 3 bridges in the western part of the county because they were similar size and location where we're able to do that and see some savings.
Any additional questions for her? Thanks, Kurt. Sue is joining us to discuss several contracts for MHIDD. Sue?
Yes, Commissioners. The contracts for early intervention, there are 8 of them. One of them, Central PA Therapy Connections, is a brand new contract, and it's going to be started at $10,000. The other 7 are addendums to what they've already had this year. And then due to the additional services that we are asking them to do because of all the referrals that we are receiving, land broadband's increase will be $8,688. Amy House increase will be $4,281. My therapy tree's increase is $42,909. Jennifer Snyder's increase is $5,488. Sylvia therapy is $83,194. EMD developmental therapy and hip massages, an increase of $8,610. And Barbara Weber is an increase of $9,649. The contract for Vision for Equality under intellectual and developmental disabilities is for our independent monitoring provider. That it's an increase of $5,948 over last year. So their total contract is going to be $41,196 for this year. Again, these are all state dollars that support these contracts from our state allocations. Any questions?
What is the total increase on all of these contracts, please?
The total increase on all of these is $636,031.
Any additional questions for Sue? Okay, thank you, Sue. Travis will be discussing the contract with the PA Chiefs of Police Association. Travis.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is the President's annual agreement with the Pennsylvania Chiefs of Police Association, which covers the maintenance and service of the CPIN and live scan instruments used in central booking. The agreement cost for 2020 is $10,600, a decrease of $2,700 from 2019 of $13,300. This decrease was due to a prorated maintenance cost due to the new juvenile live scan CPIN machine is under warranty.
Any questions for Travis? Thank you, Travis. Next, Claudia is joining us by video teleconference to discuss grants and a contract addendum for public safety. Claudia?
Good morning, everybody. We have quite a few things to go over this morning. The first is public safety is requesting your approval to apply for the Radiological Emergency Response Fund, known as the RERF, State Fiscal Year 21 grant, in which we would be eligible for an amount up to $22,118. That has a performance period of July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021. The RER grant provides funding to develop and maintain the comprehensive emergency response plans for the predefined area surrounding 3 Mile Island nuclear plant. The expenditures contribute to the development and the improved emergency support and response capabilities for our EOC and the hazmat team. Despite the announced closure of TMI, we still have a responsibility and obligation to prepare for any emergencies that could occur until the threat is no longer. As part of our application, a budget work plan will be attached to the outline to outline all the planned expenses. And the grant application is submitted through the e-grant system and due by February 15th. Any questions on that application? Okay, the second one is the Emergency Management Performance Grant, known as EMPG, fiscal year 20, with a performance period of October 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2020. This is a reimbursable grant, and the actual amount of the grant award will be determined once the application period closes and FEMA calculates all the available funding that they can distribute to the counties. Last year, I can tell you that we were approved for $112,519. The funding does cover up to 50% of the salary and employer-paid benefits for 2 of our staff members. The grant application is also submitted through the e-grant system and is also due by February 15th. Any questions on that one? Okay, the next one. This is a grant agreement. You may have already gotten an email requesting your e-signature. This is for the Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness Grant, HMEP grant, for fiscal year 20, performance period of October 2019 through September 30th, 2022, and we are awarded up to $8,000. This grant award is a 20% match, which we have budgeted in our 2020 budget, and it is based on a work plan to conduct a commodity flow study for the county that is estimated to cost roughly $10,000 based on a budgetary quote from a vendor. The commodity flow study evaluates and studies all of the frequency and amounts of hazardous materials being transported through the county on our roadways, railways, and pipelines. The last commodity flow study was done in 2009, so a lot has changed in Cumberland County in 10 years. It's definitely time to do one. We had planned on one a few years ago, however, PEMA at the time said that they were going to conduct the studies, and that did not happen, so now they're advising the counties it's our responsibility through this grant to get that done. So our plan is to have that done by summer of this year. And this is through the e-grant system as well, so once it's approved formally at your meeting, we'll ask you to go in and electronically sign all those. Any questions on that one?
I have a question, Claudia. Is there, I remember this discussion from long ago, but is there any mandate or guideline on how often those should be conducted?
So there's currently not a mandate that I'm aware of. There's a recommendation to have it done anywhere from 5 to 7 years. And like I said, we had hoped and planned that there would be one done a few years ago. The guidance from PEMA at that time was that they were going to conduct them, but that has since changed, so that's why we're a little behind the game this time.
And will this study be able to take into account the liquid gas on rail?
I believe so. I don't have the specifics, but I do believe it will capture that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, I'll get a definitive answer for you on that.
Thanks. I think that's really important, that we're adding that to this study. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and the last item on our list today, as you know, we're heavily into the system configuration and build of our new computer-aided dispatch system with Hexagon safety and infrastructure. Our CAD team, which consists of users of all levels of authority and use, has been working with the Hexagon team very thoroughly every step of the process to ensure a system that meets the needs of our operation, is reliable, user-friendly, and provides a very beneficial mobile product for the field users. Throughout this process, we've been able to identify a few items that were included in the original contract that are no longer going to be needed for the operation. These items are reflected in great detail on the change order presented before you, and as we discussed at the review team meeting on January 30th. Just a real quick recap. The first is the removal of the Knox box system, which is the technology used to gain access to businesses. They went away from using a tone interface to get access to the keys, and rather are now using a keypad to get access. So we don't need that toning interface incorporated into the contract anymore. The second was the removal of the comprehensive training package for all of our employees, and we rather elected the train the trainer option instead. This will allow selected staff to get a more in-depth and all-inclusive training in which they can digest everything and then deliver a modified training package to all of our staff. The intense training, of course, includes things like click on this screen to do the login, and we can put so many people through that, and then they can bring it to the staff and have them be able to compare what they have now, how it will work in the new system. So it's a little more situational awareness type training, and that will be removed from the original quote, or the original contract, sorry. The third one is the option to elect the mobile responder product for our fire and EMS field units versus the mobile for public safety product, which was originally in the contract. This option allows, it requires actually less hardware for the fire and EMS units to obtain, and it will be user-friendly for them, and it will still meet all the needs of their operation. So the net financial impact of all of these changes results in a credit of $174,482.51, and that is presented, like I said, in detail on the change order before you for your approval. Any questions on that one?
No.
All right.
Thank you, Claudia.
Welcome. Have a good day.
You too.
Justin is also joining us by video teleconference to discuss a grant for recycling and waste. Justin?
Morning. So this is one of the Act 101 recycling grant programs. Section 903 of the Act directs the state to reimburse counties 50% of the expense of the county recycling coordinator's salary, benefits, and expenses such as travel, conferences, tolls, and so forth. They have an application that we have to fill out that demonstrates what our expenses were. And I'm estimating the award at $45,825.32.
Any questions?
And that is for 2019.
Any questions for Justin? Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Dan is here, and he'll be discussing the grant addendum and continuation for Veteran Affairs.
And this is related to the previously approved grant by my predecessor. After reviewing that, we made some changes to it, and so I put an addendum in and asked for an extension for the funds. That was all approved recently, so now at this stage we're ready for approval of the grant.
Any questions for Dan?
Good job.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks for getting these.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
That's all I have, Sandy.
Thank you, Stacy. Agenda items 9 and 10 have already been previously covered, so we'll move on to agenda item 11, the capital project request, and I will begin by calling on John to discuss the 2 capital projects for facilities. John?
Good morning, Commissioners. There's 2 capital projects on the agenda. The one is for a 600 amp square D breaker replacement. The capital project request is for $75,000. However, we received a quote this week for $80,120. So that's probably where it's going to come in at. And that's for a breaker replacement because chiller that operates all the cooling for the courthouse has been tripping in the last couple of years, and we finally narrowed down the problem. And this is going to be done by an outside contractor under CoStars. The other one is down at the barn, the outbuildings. They're in need of vinyl siding or paint. We're going to complete that this week. That's where the recycling area is down at the barn, and those are the outbuildings behind that. And we're going to try and do that as the county staff and install that ourselves.
Any questions for John? Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Since Eric isn't here, I'm going to take stock of this. Okay, so Eric has a capital project request on the agenda today for the purchase of a liquid mass spectrometry instrument to better analyze biological samples for opioids and other drugs. He has an amount of $310,000 on here. That would consist of 2 grants each, one for $150,000 and the other one for $150,000. And he is requesting $10,000 from the general fund contingency. If you have any additional questions, I can follow up with Eric on that and have the answers to you prior to Monday. Questions? Thank you. Next, we move on to agenda item 12, and I will call on Commissioner DeFilippo to discuss Cumberland County Aging Advisory Board's appointment recommendation.
Thanks, Sandy. At the most recent Aging Advisory Board meeting that I attended, there is an opening, and the board would like to get our approval. And they've recommended Dr. Patricia Aguilera, and her information is within our packet. And it would be for a 3-year term, effective February 10th of this year, expiring. Those dates are not right. Oh, I'm sorry, it is the remainder of the 3-year term. I'm sorry. So those dates are correct. So I will be asking for approval on Monday. Be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner DeFilippo. Next, move on to agenda item 13, and Jeanette Diamond sent Stacy an email asking for reappointment recommendation for her term for a 3-year term effective retroactive to June January 1st, 2020, and expiring December 31st of 2022. Additionally, we have asked Jeanette to provide commissioners with the information of what they're doing this year, and she has provided that information, so we have that by the end of the day.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we're asking for approval on that on the code.
You read my mind on that one, Sandy.
Okay, next we'll move on to the Commissioner's Liaison reports, and we'll begin with Commissioner Aguilera.
Sure, just a handful of things. The last week was the first meeting I attended for the coordinating committee of hats. That's what our pack looks like inside, so I guess it was a great deal of information to absorb. So the only thing of real note there was the reorganization of the board, and looks like I'm going to slide right into Jim Hurst's results. See the secretary of the board, and Dauphin County will retain the chairmanship, at least for now. And Gary Evie, the new commissioner from Perry County, is the vice chair. And nothing outstanding on there to report that hasn't already come before us, but I'll be trying to stay on top of all this because this is vitally important to what we're doing in the county. So more to come on that in future weeks and months, no doubt. Let's see, I also had the honor of representing the board in an interview on WHP, thanks to Samantha, and it's carried on a number of stations. We spent a little over an hour, I guess, covering a broad range of issues regarding the county's future. I thought it went reasonably well. It was a good opportunity. We should send them a thank you note or something, because we always struggle with this, looking for opportunities to inform the public on what it is county government does and what's going on in our county. We really don't have enough support in that with our consumer media these days, so it makes our job that much harder. And so it provided a very nice opportunity to reach people through the airwaves across a pretty big area with some very important issues. It's a nice opportunity, and really appreciated the opportunity to represent the board there. Economic Development Corporation, a reminder, tomorrow is the annual meeting. That's why we're meeting today, I believe. And that also will be the Founders Breakfast event, so should be on your calendars. Hopefully we can see everybody there. Also, Policy and Planning Committee, which is steering the strategic planning effort, has its next meeting also this week. We are gathering an enormous amount of data and still refining the next steps to come, so you'll be hearing a lot more on that in the near future as well. But that is going, I think, very, very well. So you had your interviews this week too. You had one interview with Lois. So hopefully you found that interesting and helpful. The also Recycling Authority met on Monday night. I was there. We had 2 items. There is the one board seat for a municipal seat, and they're going to be forwarding us a recommendation any time now. I'll leave you in suspense so they have the honors. But we'll be getting that shortly, and then we'll have to take action on that and fill that seat. Their next meeting is not until March, so we're okay. We shouldn't be jeopardizing their quorum or anything. So getting a number of folks out with flu-related illnesses, but we still have a quorum and got a lot of work done. The other major thing there I do want to report on is in terms of the electronic recycling. We have, at the end of April is when the contract with Sun King, our current provider, expires. And Justin has been in touch with them, and they are willing to extend the contract for a 1 year at the exact same pricing. And it is excellent because right now there's a lot of instability in that marketplace. There's a lot of things going on, some short-term, maybe very short-term gyrations. And the board had extensive discussion on whether they want to go out for bid or modify the program. And the feeling was that the volumes are still very high. I have numbers here. I'll share those with you later. So the need obviously continues to be there. And I think the board very wisely decided that as much stability as they can bring to our situation there, the better. So they are recommending That will have to come before the commissioners, but they are recommending that that contract be extended, renewed for an additional 12 months, which would be through the following end of April. There's a 90-day threshold at which either party has to notify each other, so we're kind of there now, and that's why the issue has come up now. So, again, feeling is any opportunity we have to establish some stability there and assure the continuation of a great service that the public really is responding to, we should probably take advantage of that. Let the market do its thing. In 12 months, it may be, things may be more clear, maybe more settled, or it could go the other way. But we have an opportunity to preserve something that's working very well for a while longer. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Eichelberger. Commissioner Foxy?
So my liaison meetings will all start rolling again in the next circulation for next week. But last Friday, I met with Catherine Stetler of the Governor's Office. I sat down and talked with her about the need for more funding from the state to come into Cumberland County. We in particular talked about our human services being in need of more funding. In fact, that $636,000 increase on those contracts has me a bit alarmed. I think that that's where we're headed. We're going to be spending more money on our human services. I also talked with her about our emergency services and the need for a consistent funding source for them, because we do spend all of our time expecting our firefighters, et cetera, to raise their own money to fund saving us when we really, really need them. And so that's a piece that we talked about working on. I attended Upper Allen's annual fire banquets, and that was very interesting. And I told Samantha that we have an employee in the 911 Operations Center. His name is Chris Kaminsky. He was one of Upper Allen's Firefighters of the Year, and he also was #2 on calls answered in Upper Allen Township for firefighting. So I thought that was very, very impressive. And those are two of the most interesting things that I've done since the last meeting. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Foxy. Commissioner DiFilippo?
Thanks, Sandy. Just a comment on the electronics recycling area. We must be getting close to 1 million pounds. And I was thinking when we do, maybe we could do a press release or some type of thing, because I think it's pretty monumental. what you-
969 maybe? I'm not sure.
The daily and monthly North Carolina.
Yeah, I don't-
We have to be getting close.
I'll ask
Yeah,
Justin.
this suggestion. All right, Conservation District, they had their annual conference last week at the Bongiorno Center. It was a very good event. They elected their board officers for the year, and there were no changes. Duff George was reelected as chairman, and Glenn Kimmel was reelected as vice chairman, and a new member was sworn in, Mike Wadle. Mike is a professional engineer from Wadle Diffenball out of Shippensburg, and I think he'll make a good addition to the team. 8 college scholarships were awarded to local students, totaling $4,500. Crop cover applications were reviewed and approved. It was a record year. We have now in the new applications over 2,000 no-till acres that were approved and 700 minimum till acres. There was also a nutrient management plan approved for the Marvin Oberholzer Farm, which is a poultry farm in Southampton Township. It's just under 50 acres. Dave Schwartz was also there from Penn State Extension, presented an incredible PowerPoint on ag production in Pennsylvania and the anticipated positive impacts to our agriculture, not just in Pennsylvania, but nationwide, due to the recent trade deal with China. I will forward that presentation to my colleagues here today. I just got it yesterday. There's also discussion too about DEP is providing $100,000 per year for a 3-year period for counties to hire their own watershed implementation plan coordinator or hire a consultant. Cumberland County's decided to go the consultant route And the planning department and conservation district did send out RFPs to consultants. Interviews were conducted, and they will be bringing a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners later this month. That's it for conservation district. Ag preservation, I attended my first meeting today. I had to leave before the meeting was canceled. They reorganized as well. And just a reminder, in the past, the Board of Commissioners always approves the chairman of the Ag Preservation Board. They have recommended Diane Stamey. That official recommendation will come to us very shortly. The other offices, they can approve themselves. Gary Martin was elected vice chairman, and Denny McCullough was approved for secretary. Boyd Weary has had to leave the board due to illness. Some other information, the Pennsylvania Farmland Preservation Association will be meeting in March. Stephanie Williams is on that board. She will give us a report on that. There are 2 open seats on the state board, Pennsylvania State Board. So if anybody knows anyone that might be interested, please let Stephanie know. We have, for this coming year, the state grant and state match total is $2.3 million for our program. The board is very appreciative and will be sending us a thank you letter. There will be some minor program changes to the state preservation program. We will be getting those next month, but there's nothing majorly anticipated. As far as surveys, we have 8 farms that will have to be surveyed this year. That bid was awarded to the Romeo Surveying Company. They've done work for us before. And there's also, I had to leave at this point, but each year our preserve farms have to be inspected, and the board would like to put into effect, implement a new, more streamlined method. I don't know what that is. We'll find out next meeting, I hope. And I had to cut it short, so that's where we're headed in today. I'll have a better report next month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Agenda item 15, I would like to report that an executive session was held on the following date in 2020, February 4th, at 9 a.m. regarding personnel issues. Agenda item 16, we do have one item for under other business, and I'd like to call on Ron Snow to discuss the budget resolution 2020-5 regarding Cumberland County budget adjustment.
Good morning, Commissioners. Conservation District Clean Water Fund is requesting an increase 2019 expenses by $32,000 in decreased fund balance. This is for a 2019 year-end adjustment, and there's no impact to the general fund.
Any questions for Ron? Thanks, Ron. Is there any other business?
Yes, Commissioner Michael Rivera asked about the Cerner agreement. That is a 1-year contract extension. Cerner provides care tracking software for 10 months, but it does have an automatic renewal unless it's canceled 60 days before the end of the applicable extension period. So I do recall some discussion. I don't know if it's good, bad, or different on this vendor. So I'm just bringing that to your attention. It's for another year, but it will automatically renew.
I mean, they're a big program. It's a pretty expensive contract. At first, we thought that was going to migrate over within a very brief period, and then it became, well, no,
That's right.
There's going to be an extended period, and then it became, well, it might even have to be permanent because the systems are so compatible with some technical stuff I don't understand. And I'm just curious if you know where that stands. So
Yeah,
we
we'll
can
follow
find
up.
out.
Is there any other business from the board commissioners today? Okay, hearing none, we are adjourned.